Level 1. The phone call. It starts with a call at 2:13 a.m. No greeting, no name. Just a man's voice telling you to be dressed in 10 minutes and waiting outside with no phone, no watch, no questions. The line goes dead. By 2:24, a black SUV slides to the curb. Rear door unlocks. You get in. Nobody speaks during the 40-minute drive. Washington is all wet pavement and dead traffic lights. The city looking less like a capital and more like a machine that never really sleeps. The building has no sign. Inside, the air smells like coffee, printer toner, and the kind of expensive silence that means everyone here knows more than you. A woman in a gray suit takes your ID, your fingerprints, and your last clean version of yourself. At 3:11, they sit you in a windowless room with a single legal pad and a glass of water you never touch. A man enters, mid-50s, navy tie, calm face. The kind of calm that isn't kindness, it's control. He asks you one question. How much of your life are you willing to give away to be useful? Not serve, not protect. Useful. That word matters. You answer carefully. You say something disciplined, something about duty, country, sacrifice. He listens without moving. Then he slides a file across the table. Your college debt, your father's medical bills, the sealed juvenile record you thought disappeared, 3 months of private messages, your search history, your weaknesses, itemized like receipts. He tops the folder once. Honesty is expensive, he says. Lies are more expensive. By dawn, you sign 7 documents. Most of them say the same thing in different legal language. Your life no longer belongs entirely to you. You are not an officer, not yet. Not really. You are a provisional asset inside the outer ring of a system that does not trust you. Your first job is small enough to sound harmless. Courier work. You carry a locked pouch from Langley to a townhouse in Georgetown, then from Georgetown to a diplomatic vehicle near DuPont Circle. No one explains what's inside. You are told the rule on your first day. You are never paid for what you know. You are paid for what you can keep to yourself. The money hits your account as consulting. $4,800 every 2 weeks. Enough to quiet your doubts, not enough to buy your freedom back. At level 1, your value is simple. You are disposable and therefore useful. You learn to keep your face blank, to notice cameras without looking at them, to remember license plates, exits, cufflinks, wedding bands, and who sits with their back to the wall. You tell yourself this is still the surface. You tell yourself you can leave. That lie gets you through the first month. Level 2. The proving ground. They stop calling you in the middle of the night. That's how you know you're moving up. Now they call at normal hours, which somehow feels worse. It means you are becoming routine. Routine is how systems swallow people. Your badge opens more doors. Not all of them, just enough to make you curious. You are assigned to support logistics for unattributed operations, travel manifests that don't exist, burner phones purchased in cash, equipment routed through defense contractors in Virginia, then laundered through front vendors in Poland and Romania. You learn how a rifle case becomes geological survey equipment on paper, how $60,000 can move through 3 shell companies before lunch and come out looking like agricultural consulting fees in Cyprus. Nobody uses the phrase black ops in the building. They say compartments, they say findings, they say authorities, they say access. You learn another rule. Language is armor. The uglier the truth, the cleaner the vocabulary. A case officer named Mercer starts testing you. He leaves contradictions in your tasking just to see if you catch them. He gives you 2 departure times for the same flight, 2 names for the same intermediary. Once, he sends you to meet a source with the wrong recognition phrase. You don't fail twice. That matters. Soon, you are no longer just carrying messages. You are evaluating people. Foreign businessmen, engineers, disgraced colonels, mistresses with access to safes, brothers of ministers, men with gambling debts, women with sons in expensive London schools. Everyone wants something. Tuition, immunity, cash, revenge, a visa. At level 2, you learn the real currency isn't patriotism, it's leverage. You help build profiles. Who drinks, who cheats, who scares easily, who wants to be important badly enough to betray the flag on their lapel. You sit in parked cars outside restaurants in Ankara and Vienna, logging arrival times and facial expressions. You photograph dead drops hidden in park benches and under bridge railings. You spend 6 hours in Brussels pretending to read a newspaper while watching a man you've never met pass a flash drive to a woman pushing a stroller. You start seeing strangers as patterns. It gets easier than it should. That's the first internal shift. Not cruelty, efficiency. You stop asking whether someone deserves to be manipulated. You only ask whether they can be. Mercer notices the change before you do. Good, he says, glancing over your notes. You're beginning to understand that everyone has a price. The amateurs just keep looking for cash. You get your first foreign cash packet that month, $40,000 in US bills, vacuum sealed, handed to you in a hotel bathroom in Prague. You pass it to a man who won't use his real name. His hands shake when he takes it. Yours don't. That scares you later, alone in the mirror, but not enough to stop. Level 3, the handler. The first source you run is a petroleum ministry analyst in Baku, 34, divorced, 2 children, weak chin, strong memory, gambling problem. He owes $112,000 to the wrong people and thinks working for you is temporary. They all think that. Your job is no longer to observe. Your job is to direct. You choose the meeting sites. You establish the emergency signal. You test his discipline by canceling twice at the last minute. If he complains, he is weak. If he adapts, he is usable. If he lies, he is finished. You start speaking in layers, one meaning on the surface, another underneath. Weather looks unstable this week means delay. Your daughter's school must be expensive means we know where she goes. We need cleaner paper means bring originals, not copies. Nobody teaches you this formally. You absorb it because everyone around you already speaks that way. At level 3, trust is theater. Control is the point. You run 3 sources in 9 months. 1 bureaucrat, 1 telecom engineer, 1 security aide inside a provincial intelligence office. You pass taskings, you receive fragments, schedules, internal memos, server maps, personal feuds. Half the work is intelligence. The other half is keeping frightened people functional. You learn that assets don't break in dramatic ways. They fray. A missed signal, a delayed reply, too much cologne at a meet, a joke that lands wrong. The first time one of your sources disappears, nobody comforts you. The telecom engineer misses 2 check-ins in Istanbul. By morning, his apartment is empty, his bank account frozen, his mother questioned, his dog gone. Mercer reads the cable and closes the file. What happened, you ask. Mercer shrugs. Something predictable. That night, you stare at the hotel ceiling until 4 a.m. You tell yourself you didn't make him vulnerable. You only used what was already there. It sounds cleaner that way. Back in Virginia, they brief you into a narrower compartment. Polygraph, new non-disclosure, new storage protocols. Your phone is replaced. Your apartment lease is renewed through an intermediary you've never met. They are reducing your personal seams, smoothing you into a shape that fits the machine. Friends stop calling because you always cancel. Relationships die from lack of oxygen. When your mother asks why you missed Thanksgiving again, you say government travel. She laughs and says you always look tired now. You almost tell her the truth. Not the truth, just enough to feel human again. But that instinct is weakness. You know that now. So you lie well and hang up smiling. That is how level 3 works. You gain access by becoming unreadable.
Level 4. The operator. The door locks behind you in a safe house outside Amman, and the man across the table has blood on his cuff. Not much, just enough to tell you the meeting before this one went wrong. This is the first time your work crosses from recruitment and handling into direct operational action. Not theoretical risk, not paperwork risk, operational risk. The kind measured in minutes, routes, and whether somebody decides not to wait for orders. Your team is 4 people. 1 medic, 1 surveillance specialist, 1 local cutout, you. No uniforms, no flags, no public record. The objective is narrow. Extract a compromised subsource before a hostile service gets to him first. Simple on paper. Nothing is simple after midnight. You move through service alleys and unmarked stairwells, changing vehicles twice in 90 minutes. A white Hyundai, then a bakery van with cracked mirrors. The city feels close and hot, every balcony a possible witness. At level 4, you stop pretending action belongs to someone else. You are the one making calls now. The subsource is younger than you expected. 26, smells like sweat and cheap soap, keeps asking if he's safe. Nobody answers directly, because direct answers create liabilities. The medic tapes a fake transfusion line to his arm to sell the hospital cover story. You rewrite his travel packet in the back seat, while Mercer's replacement, a woman named Vale, updates the route with flat, emotionless precision. She is what the system looks like when it has sanded off every unnecessary softness. On the way to the border, you spot the second motorcycle 3 times in 12 minutes. You reroute. That decision keeps everyone breathing. Afterward, in a rented apartment with bad curtains and warm bottled water, Vale finally looks at you for longer than 2 seconds. You didn't freeze, she says. High praise. In this world, that's nearly affection. You start deploying more often after that. Eastern Europe, North Africa, the Baltics, places where policy is written in Washington and paid for in rooms with no windows. You carry compact sidearms you hope not to use, satellite phones, lock bypass tools, emergency cyan tabs sealed in plastic you are told are for denial contingencies. A phrase so cold, it takes you a full week to feel its weight. You become excellent at calm. Not inner calm, performed calm. Your heart can slam at 140 beats per minute while your face stays bored enough to sell insurance. That skill becomes part of your reputation. Reputation matters more than rank once you enter operational circles. Rank opens doors. Reputation keeps you alive when plans fail. And they do fail. A meat burns in Sofia. A courier folds in Tunis. A package is intercepted in Riga. Every failure costs someone something. A career, a hand, a marriage, a pulse. You learn not to dwell. That is how they know you belong here.
Level 5. The Insider. By now, people stop checking your credentials as closely. That's when you become dangerous. You have enough years in, enough successful operations behind you, enough sealed commendations in a classified personnel file to move with less friction. You are read into programs that never touch official briefing books, special access compartments nested inside older compartments, authorities hidden inside footnotes, budget lines disguised inside other budget lines. At level 5, you see the ecosystem whole. Not all of it, nobody sees all of it, but enough to understand the architecture. Operators answer to team leads answer to division chiefs answer to people whose names never appear in the version of history taught to the public. Congress gets fragments, presidents get curated truths, allies get what serves them. The machine protects itself first, the mission second, and the story always. You help design operations now, not just execute them. You sit in conference rooms with frosted glass and decide whether an opposition figure gets funding, sabotage, exposure, or silence. You evaluate whether a paramilitary proxy is stable enough to arm or unstable enough to burn. You recommend influence campaigns that can tilt an election without leaving fingerprints visible to anyone who matters. Your memos are concise, clinical, dangerous. Recommend phased pressure through financial exposure and deniable media placement. That sentence can ruin a man in 3 countries. You no longer handle small assets. You handle networks, cutouts feeding couriers, feeding principals, layers between layers. You build systems where no one below sees more than 15% of the whole. That is how you reduce betrayal. That is also how you reduce conscience. Because conscience needs a complete picture. You no longer have one. The money gets better. Performance bonuses routed through obscure channels, housing upgrades justified by mobility requirements, a retention package large enough to make quitting feel irrational. Your annual compensation passes $240,000 before hazard incentives, and somehow your life feels poorer. You drink more but not sloppily, you sleep less but efficiently, you start noticing the new hires. Clean faces, tight suits, controlled voices. They still think competence will protect them from becoming tools. You remember being one of them, and the memory embarrasses you. Vale tells you over bourbon in a secure apartment that the worst mistake is believing you are one of the good ones. There are no good ones in this part of the building, she says, only useful ones and retired ones. You ask which one she is. She smiles without warmth. That depends who's asking. By level 5, your loyalty has shifted, not to ideals, not even to leaders, to continuity. The system survives because people like you keep it fed.
Level 6. The Chief. Power changes texture when it becomes administrative. You expect level 6 to feel bigger, louder, more triumphant. It feels smaller, more cramped, less sleep, more signatures, more people waiting outside your office because a bad decision from you can reroute 3 countries' worth of consequences. You are now a section chief inside a covert action branch, 12 core personnel under you, dozens more adjacent, contractors, analysts, technical teams, liaison bridges, aviation support, legal review, deniable partner units, a living web. You no longer chase sources through rain. You approve the budgets that keep them alive. You decide who gets extracted and who gets cut loose. That becomes the hardest part. A field officer in Warsaw wants emergency authority to pull a burned source and his wife. Cost estimate, $380,000. Exposure risk, moderate. Intelligence value, declining. You read the cable twice. You know what the humane answer is. You also know what the institutional answer is. You approve the source only. You write, dependent extraction not mission essential. 3 days later, the source makes it out alone. He never works again. You tell yourself difficult choices are the job, that leadership means weighing one life against 10 future operations, one family against a regional network, one human grief against long-term strategic access. The math is always clean on paper. It is filth inside your chest. You become very good at speaking 2 languages at once. To your superiors, you speak in outcomes, deniability, asset viability, congressional thresholds. To your subordinates, you speak in confidence. I've got you. You did the right thing. We protect our own. Sometimes that last one is true. Often it isn't.
Mistakes now cost careers, not just missions. A bad approval and a name appears in a hearing. A leaked memo and a foreign partner shuts down a pipeline you spent 6 years building. A wrong read on a colonel in West Africa, and suddenly $14 million in support goes to a future warlord. You stop seeing people as individuals and start seeing them as vectors. That is when the erosion becomes obvious, not to others, to you. You look at yourself in a secure restroom mirror one night after everyone leaves, and for half a second, you can't tell whether you still believe anything beyond process. You wash your hands longer than necessary. Then you go back to work.
Level 7. The Power Broker. By now, your name opens doors in rooms that don't officially exist. Embassy basements, private clubs in London, villas outside Naples, conference suites in Northern Virginia where no one carries personal electronics and everyone has an opinion about the fate of nations. At level 7, you no longer run operations, you shape the map they happen on. You broker alliances between agencies that privately dislike each other. You trade access for silence, silence for funding, funding for permission. One liaison service wants biometric surveillance software. A Senate committee wants deniability. A defense firm wants expanded contracts. A foreign minister wants his rival embarrassed, not dead. You arrange outcomes where everyone gets 60% of what they want and nobody can later prove the full deal existed. This is a higher form of violence, not physical, structural. A decision made by you at 8:40 a.m. in McLean can trigger arrests in Istanbul by nightfall. A rumor seeded through the right journalist can collapse a minister's leverage within a week. A delayed payment can force a militia commander to choose between betrayal and hunger. You rarely raise your voice. You never need to. Your reputation does the speaking. People know you can bury careers without touching a file. They know you remember debts from 10 years ago. They know you protect competence and punish embarrassment. Fear becomes more efficient than authority ever was. And yet, your world gets smaller. You fly constantly, but never travel. Hotel suites blur together, security details rotate, meals happen in fragments. You keep 3 phones, all encrypted, none personal. Your ex stops trying to reach you after the final divorce packet arrives through counsel. No children, no pets, nothing soft enough to require a schedule. You tell yourself this is freedom. It isn't. It's optimization. There is a difference. One winter evening, a junior officer presents a proposal in a secure room and stumbles over one of your old operational doctrines, repeating it like scripture. Limit exposure, fragment loyalty, reward silence, punish freelancing early. The room nods. They are studying your methods now. That should feel like legacy. Instead, it feels like infection. Because you finally understand the trap. You don't climb this system by controlling it. You climb it by letting it rewrite you into the kind of person who can survive here. By level 7, ambition has already collected its price. You just haven't finished paying.
Level 8. The Architect. The office is larger, quieter, and somehow colder than all the others. No photographs, no awards, no personal artifacts except a Mont Blanc pen and a sealed drawer you never open in front of anyone. The walls are soundproofed. The meetings are shorter now. The people entering them are older, smarter, and more careful with their eyes. At level 8, nobody tells you the truth directly anymore. They bring you polished versions. You are powerful enough to authorize, redirect, erase, or protect almost anything inside your lane. You can kill programs with a sentence, resurrect them with a memo, shield one operator, sacrifice another, expand a covert network across 3 continents without a press conference or a headline. You are untouchable in the way only deeply buried people are untouchable, and completely alone. The strange thing about ultimate access is how little of it feels like ownership. Every decision arrives chained to old promises, bureaucratic gravity, foreign dependencies, internal rivalries, election cycles, budget fights, buried scandals, and the silent terror that one day the machine will need a public offering to preserve itself. A scapegoat. You know exactly how that works because you helped build those exits for others. The action is gone now. No alleyways, no fake passports in hotel bathrooms, no sprinting stairwells with a second vehicle waiting. Just consequence. Endless consequence. You review a recruitment package on a rainy Thursday evening. Candidate, age 27, former military intelligence, strong languages, moderate debt, excellent stress tolerance, minimal family ties, clean public profile, hidden vulnerabilities in Appendix C. You read the psych notes: hunger for significance, high adaptability, strong compartmentalization potential. Useful. There's that word again. You sign the authorization. For a moment, your hand stays on the file. You think about the first room, the legal pad, the glass of water, the man with the navy tie asking how much of your life you were willing to give away. You think about the vanished engineer in Istanbul, the source's wife left behind in Warsaw, the doctrine you taught without ever writing down, the lovers you lied to, the funerals you missed, the versions of yourself that disappeared so gradually you never marked the dates. This is the real shape of power. Not command, not freedom, distance. You can reach almost anyone now, but nobody reaches you. You know secrets that could destabilize governments, but you cannot tell the truth about your own life over dinner. Your name carries weight in rooms across the world, and yet if you vanished tonight, the system would replace you by quarter's end, update the access lists, and keep moving. That is the final insult. You spend your whole life climbing toward indispensability, only to discover the machine has none. Outside, rain taps the glass in thin, patient lines. Across the city, in another unmarked building, a phone starts ringing at 2:13 a.m. A young man sits up in the dark, heart pounding, not knowing that 10 minutes from now he will step into a car and begin trading his life for access. He thinks he is entering a hierarchy. He is entering a furnace. He thinks power will make him larger. It will make him narrower, colder, more precise, easier to use. He thinks the danger is out there, in hostile capitals and black sites and sealed envelopes and dead drops. He's wrong. The danger is what survives inside him as he rises. You know that now. And still, you sign the file.
If you made it this far, you already understand something most people never will. Power isn't loud. It doesn't announce itself. It changes you slowly, quietly, until there's nothing left to change. If you want more stories like this, more worlds you're not supposed to see, more systems you were never meant to understand, subscribe. If this video pulled you in, if it made you feel something even for a second, leave a like and tell me in the comments, which life should you live next?